Hello everyone, and welcome back for another craft kit tutorial for teens. This month we are doing felt hand warmers. Keep your hands warm during these cool winter months. You can pick these craft kits up at the Woodmere branch of the library. When you call for curbside, let us know that you are looking for a craft kit and we will make sure we bring one out with you to the curb. So we can get you that through curbside, not just while we're open. In our craft kits, we have 4 pieces of red felt, some rice, some dried lavender. Now this is totally optional, but make your hand warmer smell nice if you would like. And then an embroidery needle, and put it in a little tube just to keep it from stabbing you. And last but not least, some embroidery floss. There's a random color in there, but there's some in every kit. What you need from home this time, I have a pair of scissors, and I have just a spoon. I'm only using this to kind of scoop in the rice and the lavender. You could use a funnel if you had it, or you could probably just pour it in, but this is just to make things easier. Alright, so what we need to do is start with our felt. And you can either keep these as the rectangles if you'd like, or you can cut them into a shape. For sake of kind of testing, to be honest, I'm going to just kind of make this an oval, so I can make sure that there is plenty of rice in every kit. So I'm just going to take my scissors and kind of trim the corners off and make this more of an oval shape. The sharper the scissors you have, the better. So if you've happen to have some fabric scissors around, those would definitely work better. But slow and steady, even with regular scissors, is working okay. Okay, take a look at that. Alright, so yeah, sure. Now, when you're happy with the shape, I'm going to trim this up maybe just a tiny bit over here. When we're happy with the shape, you want to take your other pieces and use those kind of as a template to make all of your shapes the same. Now you could trace this if you wanted to. What I'm going to do is just hold it on there and use the scissors to just kind of make them the same. Depends how exact you want to be. This may not be quite as exact as tracing it would be, but it's going to get us pretty close. So I'm going to do that. Now when you're picking a shape, I would maybe recommend keeping it pretty simple. You're going to have to sew and stuff this. So you don't want to make it too complicated, or it might be kind of hard to sew and to get the rice into all the little nooks and crannies. So maybe squares, ovals, heart might still be okay. Heart was one that I was thinking of, but I wanted to kind of test out the limits of the rice that we have. I would stay away from super complicated things. I think like stars or triangles might be a little harder to get into the corners of your design. So there's my second oval. I'm going to go ahead and cut the other 2, and I will be back and we will continue from there. Okay, I am back with my ovals. I went ahead and used that first one as a template, and then just kind of went back through and kind of cleaned up some of the rough spots. I did switch to my fabric scissors just for my own sanity. Definitely a good investment if you do a lot of crafts with felt or fabric. Alright, so all 4 of these are cut out and ready to go. Go ahead and put 2 of those aside for now, because we don't need all 4. And take 2 of them, and we will start our sewing. So your embroidery thread here. We're going to take about half of it. Well, maybe not quite half. About an arm's worth. So I'm going to kind of stretch out from arm to arm and use about that much. Should be enough for you. Alright, and then at one end you want to tie a knot. Obviously we've got just a basic knot. I usually do loop that tail around a few times just to kind of really make sure we get a good knot there. Roll that down towards the end. And then I'm going to do another knot on top of it just to really make sure we've got a steady foundation for our sewing. Same thing, rolled it a couple times, and now we've got a pretty substantial knot. Alright, take your needle in a tube and go ahead and get that out and thread your needle, the other end that you did not tie your knot in, through the top. Now I am by no means an experienced seamstress or sewer, but we're going to use a pretty basic stitch and I'll give you a good intro to hand sewing in a pinch. So you want a little bit of a tail there, just to make sure that you don't accidentally pull your thread all the way through. And then you want to line up your shapes so that they are even and go through both layers of fabric just a little tiny ways from the edge there. I'd say maybe 1/4 of an inch, and pull that all the way through. And then we're going to do something called a whip stitch. So a whip stitch is just going around the outside of your fabric, and we want to do these fairly close together because we want to make sure that that rice is not going to fall out. So you go around the outside of the edge. So from this angle, we would go around back, and then back through the front, and that will wrap it around the edge. Now you may have to kind of untangle as you go because there's quite a bit of string at the moment. But we've got a couple stitches there, and then you continue. So again, lost my thread. If that happens, and it probably will, just go ahead and re-thread your needle. You can kind of re-roll that edge to make it tighter again, or if it gets really super frayed, just trim off the end and get a fresh piece of string. Alright, let's try that again. Again, I'm not an experienced seamstress, and that is very evident in this video, but we are always trying new things. Alright, so through the back, to the front, and pull. Got 3 stitches now. They do not have to be absolutely perfectly spaced. If you've got more experience in sewing than I, they will probably be more evenly spaced than myself. But like I always say in these projects, imperfections just show that it's handmade. Yeah, see, that one's much farther away than the rest, but still close enough together that no rice is going to get through. So you want to do this until you're about 3/4 of the way around, and then we will come back and we will continue with the next step. So I'm going to sew this up until we're 3/4 of the way done, and then we will continue on. Okay, it's been a few minutes, and I am about 3/4 of the way around. You can see I tried to keep them as even as I can, but I am no seamstress, but the whip stitch kind of gives you a little bit of cool color where you normally wouldn't see it. So now we take our rice. This is where the spoon is going to come into play if you have one, because we are going to fill this with rice. Now, I would recommend about half, so that you have half for one, half for the other. And then also we've got the lavender, if you would like. It smells very nice and floral, and it will actually smell really good when it's microwaved as well. So I put some of that in there as well. Now, this is also the point where I find out if I've got enough rice in here or not. I might have to put a little bit more in, but we will see. So you want it to be filled enough that you're definitely going to feel it all the way through, but you don't want it so full that that rice can't move around. It's going to help transmit your heat a little bit too. Yeah, probably going to add a little bit more rice to these because it's not super full. Alright, let's do like one more scoop or so. Now if there's not enough rice in here for your comfort level, if you've got rice at home, this is just regular dry long grain rice. It's nothing fancy, so you can definitely just add some more if you want yours a little more densely filled than we give you enough rice for. I will probably go through these kits and add a little bit more because I am using quite a bit more than it originally recommended. Okay, so I think I'm good with that because it's going to kind of fill out once I'm done. So once you get that rice in and the lavender in, you can kind of shake it up a little bit if you want. And then, that smells nice. You want to sew the rest of the way around this. When you get to the end, we'll want to tie it together. So when I get to the end, I'll show you where I'm at and we'll tie that off. And that will be one completed hand warmer. So I'll go ahead and finish this off and then we'll show you how to tie off the end. Alright, so we are all the way around and I am back to the knot where I started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go through this first stitch and I'm going to put my needle under that first stitch if I can, like so, and pull it through. Ooh, I'm kind of getting close to the end of my string here. Alright, so you have a loop, and then I'm going to wrap it around a couple times, kind of like we did before. So we have a couple loops there, and then pull that down and tight. And then just to make it extra secure, I'm going to take my end string and tie it to the start string. I always err on the side of putting more knots in than not enough. Now, a few things I learned while doing this. If you are going to do a larger shape that uses the majority of the fabric, like I did, you might start with a little bit more string than an arm's worth. Do that plus another half an arm's worth perhaps, because I didn't have a whole lot left. The other thing is to keep those edges like held together as you're sewing so it kind of stays even. It becomes more important after you put the rice in because it's not completely flat anymore and it gets a little harder to hold it together. But that smells very nice. There we are. There is your rice hand warmer. These can go in the microwave for 20 to 30 seconds and then just put them in your coat pockets on a winter's walk or waiting out at the bus stop, and that will help keep you nice and toasty. I'm going to just trim off the ends here, and then you would just repeat this whole process on your other side, and then you would have a matching pair of your hand warmers. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoy, and come pick up a craft kit, and we will see you again next month.